The people who brought this to the door that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, do not enter unless the Prophet gives you permission.
Aged Westerns, I feel like anyone who, like you said, your neighbor who studies history, would look into this, or let's say look into her son, would start looking into her text on her saying, which 18-year-old speaks like this? Can you find, these people, once they read this, you should ask them the question, can you tell me which 18-year-old have you seen speak like this? Especially in front of a crowd, especially after, people are scared speaking against, this debate online or this influence online. We're talking about, one of the biggest authority at the time. The person who's taking authority, he's the biggest authority. He can do whatever he wants at this point. He has the power of everything. Which 18-year-old, despite actually being hurt by that same government in severe ways, still goes out despite that and still carries on? Who would carry on after that? Some people you see, they get tortured by certain governments. They come out and they will never speak in their life. They won't, because they're too scared. They know what's going to happen to them. Which 18-year-old then, a person who, especially in the West, we bring the age of maturity down and down. Women, even men as well, are getting married in their 30s. You get the 20s or the teens, it's 30s, 35, even goes to 40 at these times. Which 18-year-old would have the maturity to actually say those words, take those actions while being hurt also, and in front of that crowd which hurt her? It's something which just came to mind, which would amaze a lot of people.
I don't think she can be compared to any 18-year-old or any other youth for that matter. I agree with you.
That's why, it's the perfect question. That which 18-year-old can you find that can speak like this? They won't be able to find one, therefore it explains the ism of al-zahra alayhi salam. It instantly takes them somewhere else. Instantly. There's no other path other than that after that than to go to al-habib alayhi salam, except the wilaya and the ism of al-habib alayhi salam, and Islam in its entirety.
The more you speak about it, the more fascinating it becomes. The more doors that open, and you really are in shock when you listen and you just hear what different people have to say about Fatima. I don't know, it's something that's very close to you. You know it, you've heard it so many times, you've read about it, but when you hear people speaking about it, you're in disbelief. It's like you're hearing it for the first time. Especially when you describe it like that, in that way, that it's leaving aside isma and the power that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given them, the power of sabr, the power of iman. But see, the world is, if you get a threat from your government that don't leave the house without a mask, everyone's wearing a mask immediately before they've even thought about the process. If the government says your curfew is 9 o'clock, the roads are empty. Even if they're in severe disagreements, the government says no protests, there are no protests. One or two, crazy people, they may climb the embassy, bring down the flag or whatever. Everyone else, they're quiet, everyone is listening to what the government is saying. When you think about it in this way, what are we talking about? Really, what are we talking about? It's something unbelievable. Ya Nas, Ya Alam, this is an 18-year-old woman, an 18-year-old. An 18-year-old, her father, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he would be in his house, which that house, Allah Azza wa Jal says, يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تدخلوا بيوت النبي إلا أن يؤذن لكم. It carries on to say that this pains Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I just want to know, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was in pain when people would enter his house in his presence with his woman wearing hijab, He would be in pain. Yani this is not something normal for the Prophet ﷺ to go through and witness. Oh Rasulullah, what would you have done had you been there at the time when they forcefully entered? And look at this fire now. It's a very weak fire. They burned down the door that you used to stand and ask for permission to enter. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says you are not allowed to enter unless Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi gives you permission. They forcefully entered the door. They threatened to burn down the house with Hassan, with Hussein, with Ali alayhim salam jami'an. And the Islamic Ummah says, no problem. This was a dispute that happened amongst the Sahaba radiallahu anhum wa ardahum, like they say, and may Allah be pleased with them. The people who brought this to the door that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, do not enter unless the Prophet gives you permission. They brought this in front of the door. They say, radiallahu anhum wa ardahum. I just want to know what dignity, what moral sense, which iman, how were you born aslan? How were you made to come to the conclusion that radiyallahu anhum wa ardahum? How? When Allah Azza wa Jal says He will be displeased with them, تَحْبَطُ أَعْمَالُهُمْ جَمِيعًا, even if they had a'mal. إِنَّ الَّذِينَ, what did we say? If you come in the house of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam without his permission, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is what? Is displeased, is angered, is hurt. إن الذين يؤذون الله ورسوله what? لعنهم الله في الدنيا والآخرة وأعد لهم عذابا مهينا. He will torture you in the most demeaning way. This is how you will see your khulafa, and this is how la samhallah you will be if you do not disassociate from them. The Quran asks you to disassociate and then associate. La ilaha illallah. What's the other ayah? وَمَنْ يكفر بالطاغوت ويؤمن بالله. Firstly, disassociate from the people that hurt Fatima al-Zahra alayhi salam, who very clearly, and every Muslim knows, if you hurt her, you have hurt Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. If you hurt Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, قد آذيت Allah. You hurt Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I don't understand really, yani, when we speak about these things, every time I try to be in the shoes of the Bakri. How? Yeah, it's really impossible unless you're 100% or 99% ignorant, which I believe inshallah most of them are. This is why we still have love towards them. Otherwise, if they actually believe that this person, knowing what he has done, radiyallahu anhum wa ardah, for I say, Allahumma hshurhum ma'ahu. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put them with him. And I do not say that for any mukhalif, because I know the majority of them are ignorant. But it's every one of our taklif to spread this. What has happened, even from your books, what has happened to Fatima al-Zahra alayhi salam? You don't need to go far. So I said they have entered the house. Don't say they have entered the house. Mu mushkila. They shouted at Fatima al-Zahra alayhi salam. The Quran says, do not enter without the permission of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam while he's there. He was not there. And you entered forcefully, or at least you burned the door down. You threatened, yalla, mu mushkila. You threatened to burn the door down. Does that not bring fear to Fatima al-Zahra alayhi salam? Does that bring her joy? Does that bring her happiness? As'alukum billah, I ask you, O Muslimin, and put Allah Azza wa Jal in front of you before you answer. Forget the Shia, forget the khurafat like they say, did what Abu Bakr and Umar done, the stuff that you know they done at the door of Fatima al-Zahra, you know they done. There's an absolute agreement. Just that amount that you say, yes, that did happen. Does that anger Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam? Does that yu'di Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, or does it bring him pleasure? Khalas, that's it. That's all I ask you. And they purposely done that. It wasn't an accident. It's not like la adaynaha alayhi salam by accident. We said something wrong and she was hurt. You knew exactly, like they say, with intent you done that to Fatima al-Zahra alayhi salam. Where does that put you? Where does that put these so-called khulafa? Really, I don't know what to say. I'm lost for words. I don't know if one of the brothers has a different take, if they think